All right, Jack, we're live.
You got to
Appreciate
work
everybody
with.
tuning in to the. We're live. Great work, man. Thanks to everybody tuning into the Colin Thompson Show, presented by Not for Long Media and our friends over at the Original Fudge Kitchen. They ship fudge and sweet treats across the country. Jack in the back, how you doing today, pal?
Doing good, just moving and shaking, just reaching the end of the week here. So, just getting things done.
The week flew by. It doesn't really feel like a real week. People are in first gear. I feel as if maybe not for you because you're actually working, but the rest of us who are like piecing work together and we're coming down from the Christmas hangover, if you will, from hanging with family to some drinks to some good eats to some good times. How was your Christmas, buddy?
It was good, hung around family a little bit, just kind of kept it close around here. Food was great. Nothing really. It was good. It was good. How was yours?
All right, so it sounds like a boring time. I was anticipating some more juice, some drama about your tractor or the squirrels on your roof or something like that, but that's okay. We moved forward. It was great, man. I had some great family in town. Some friends came over. Uh, we ate. We had a great time. Did some Christmas shopping. Went to some local pubs and saw some great friends. So it's weird. I haven't been home for Christmas since 2015. So I get to the point in a professional career where you just get sick of missing stuff. From funerals to birthdays to holidays. It's a part of the sacrifice. It's a part of the reaching the mountaintop of your profession in any profession, but it gets old after a while. I'd rather be in the NFL, but second place is spending time with family and friends doing stuff I haven't done in a while. So yeah, great to be back. Great to be back. We're obviously live here on Instagram. We're live across our social media platforms and Not for Long Media, my personal Facebook, LinkedIn, a bunch of different stuff here. And as we're trying some new things out for 2024, we're going to have awesome guests on today. Rasheed Bailey, CFL, Grey Cup champion 2 times, played for the Eagles, played for the Carolina Panthers, Del Val College, Division III school in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, and he has a show with us called Showtime Speaks. He's getting that charge back up again, so I wanted to have him on, talk about the Eagles, the NFL, his journey a little bit, his new show, and then Jason Martinez, who has one of the most successful hockey podcasts in the world with Flyers Daily. For those hockey fans, in about 40 minutes, we're going to be getting into hockey here. I wanted to mix it up a little bit and have a little football, have a little hockey. It's kind of my wheelhouse. So Jason's coming on and talk of that. The Flyers are red hot this year, and they were supposed to be horrible. So we're going to start off with the NFL, though. Again, everything we do here is brought to you by Fudge Kitchen. They ship fudge and sweet treats across the country, fudgekitchens.com. Jack, let's start with some playoff picture. Pull that up for us here. There's a lot to unpack. And, as you can see on your screen here, and for those that are listening, in the AFC, the Ravens and Dolphins are the 2 teams to clinch so far. Niners, Eagles, Lions, and Cowboys have clinched on the NFC side. But what I like to do, Jack, is kind of start down the bottoms. Can you scroll? Perfect. Don't go to those teams that are in the hunt. Let's go to those bubble teams. And I'll start on the AFC because the storylines there are just absolutely ridiculous. This Texans team with C.J. Stroud, if he can come back and move and shake and find his way into the playoffs here, he puts himself right back in the middle, if not the leader of the rookie of the year player, at least offensive rookie of the year, him and Nakua, and a coach of the year situation down there with D'Amico Ryans and a team that we thought had no juice left in the tank. Obviously, you thought the same thing about the Bengals, who lost a starting quarterback, but have gone on a run here with Browning. Steelers beat them last week in really blowout fashion. What are they going to be week to week? The Raiders team, where we don't know what they're going to be either. And then they look fantastic and beat the Chiefs, primetime Christmas Day game, a game that I think had more viewership than every NBA game combined. What are your thoughts on that, Jack, as the NBA defender on this team?
Listen, it makes sense. I'm not really shocked. The NBA
Wow.
games were not that good to begin with, anyways. The marquee, I think it was literally the prime time Christmas game, was Sixers Heat, and Joel Embiid and Jimmy Butler both sat out of the game. So neither of them
Little load
played, but
management, Jack? Little load
well, no,
management?
for Jimmy Butler probably, but Embiid did sprain his ankle. He missed last night against Orlando. He might miss their next game, so he has a legitimate injury. But like most Americans, he's just spending the time between Christmas Eve and New Year's Day off. So he's a working man.
Working man. Yeah, working man. All right. Good for him in the NBA. And then obviously, I hope Antonio Pierce gets the job with the Raiders. I've heard from some people in that building that absolutely love him, and you could see the passion they play for, and be really cool to see an interim head coach that does well get the job. I was with Coach Wilkes last year, in Carolina. And, you thought he had a legit shot to get the job in Carolina. It was not the case, but the momentum around him moving forward and the, post-coach rule was awesome. And it would have been really interesting to see what he would have to do if he's still in Carolina today. Happy for Taves down in Carolina. They had a win 2 weeks ago against Atlanta in a walk-off fashion, and then they gave the Packers everything they could handle, losing 33-30 in a really crazy game there. And then obviously the Broncos, a lot of drama there. What's going on with Russ, right? And and you see the debates today. Is he a Hall of Famer? Is he not a Hall of Famer? Does this taint his Hall of Fame career? We'll see. He's going to get an opportunity. He will. What he does with that, to me, matters. The Vikings, Jaron Hall. I was with Jaron Hall. He's going to be the starter this week for the Vikings. A lot of people don't know who he is. He was the quarterback that came in behind Luke Wilson at BYU. Or Zach Wilson, excuse me. He's a runner. He's a thrower. He's an undersized guy, but he's super mature. This is a guy that went on a mission and then came back, in Mormon fashion to school at like 25, 26 years old, and has had a ton of success, as a college player, just kind of same play style as Zach Wilson, a little loosey-goosey, huge arm, but I love his maturity level. That was the one thing that stood out to me in the huddle. So he's going to have the respect of those guys in that huddle here. This isn't some random rookie coming in who's 21 years old who hasn't played in big moments before. So I like his game. And if the Vikings can find their way into the playoffs here with what they have going on with the quarterback situation, I think Kevin O'Connell should be up for Coach of the Year. I know, Kevin Stefanski probably has something to say about that with bringing in Joe Flacco to the Browns and their success. But, man, losing Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins in two massive, massive moments of your season when I think they were 1-4 or 1-5, and to get back right around 500, super, super impressive. All right, Jack, scroll up here. These teams that have a little bit chance of making the playoffs as we move forward. We'll start again in the AFC. This Colts team with Shane Steichen. I mean, pretty impressive. And you could see that his loss, the impact in Philly offensively, right? They're running the same plays, the same scheme. It's never the same offense, though, and it's been a huge impact there. And Gardner Minshew and company in the Colts, after losing their star quarterback, who Jack thought was going to stay upright and play the whole year, find themselves in the playoffs. What are your thoughts on that, Jack?
They're a really impressive team. I mean, I always liked Shane Steichen's offense when he was in Philadelphia, and it's great to see Gardner Minshew. I mean, everybody talks about Baker and Tampa Bay, but it's really great to see Gardner kind of just solidify himself as a guy for the next 10 plus years as a backup, glue guy, whatever. He's in that Ryan Fitzpatrick category for the rest of his career. I mean, like I said, you're 8-7. Anthony Richardson went out like week 2, week 3, and you're putting this together. I mean, Jonathan Taylor didn't come back till like week 9, whatever that was, mid-season, and you're still doing this production. Their offense, I mean, the talent in this offense it's all right. Like, Michael Pittman's a solid dude. Alec Pierce is a little young, but he's got it. And you're still putting these types of games together on offense. It's really impressive.
It is. And speaking about consistently offensively, I know defense, they've made some big plays too. Their front four, their front seven has done some nice job. Zaire Franklin, Philly guy from LaSalle, from Syracuse, a late-round pick, a special teamer, special teams captain, now defensive captain. The guy's a stud there. They've done a great job there. Buffalo, a team that we talked about on here with Joe Brady, and I was pounding the table for Joe because I think Joe's learned a ton from some really tough, smart coaches that are like run football first people, which is Sean Payton and Matt Rule. And I think Joe has learned and changed and evolved and then developed a personal relationship with Josh Allen, being the quarterback coach, now becoming the coordinator. Like, that mix to me sounds really, really good. Like, Buffalo over the last few years, the end of every year, you're like, man, I would text my agents, be like, hey, they need a blocking tight end. Like, that's what I do for those tuning in and getting to know me for the first time. I'm like, Buffalo's got to be transitioned to a more physical run game. They got to be. Reach out, do something. And, now they are using an extra offensive lineman in the run game. They're pulling Deion Dawkins in the run game when other teams pull blocking tight ends and doing that stuff and having tons and tons of success because of what they have on the outside. And you make the same argument for the Eagles. Like, what they have on the outside should scare you enough to be able to run the ball on a consistent basis to a lighter box with safety not involved, backers not subbed into the game, smaller people on the field. So you're seeing that now from Buffalo. That's why they've had success. We all know the Browns and the story with Joe Flacco, and that's been amazing. And it's funny, last night, Christmas Eve, we're at the Plumsonville pub hanging out, tradition we always do, and go see kind of the local folks celebrating Christmas. And I look at my brother-in-law, and I was like, man, Amari Cooper's so underrated. I put my head down. We conversation, have a good time. I look up at his stat line just like an hour later. It was like some sort of ridiculous stat line. I just think that guy is one of the most underrated players in the league. The guy was nasty in Alabama, pure nastiness. Him and Julio are like my favorite two college wideouts in the world. Larry Fitzgerald, obviously, too. But yeah, really excited for what the Browns are doing. PJ Walker gets elevated from the practice squad this week. He'll be the backup there behind Joe Flacco. Then you got the Jags and the Chiefs. So I think the story for me are these teams that are in the hunt, if you will, or whatever these terms are, close to being in the playoffs, close to clinching, are the Bucs in the NFC South. I played in the NFC South. I played the Bucs. First real true NFL game was at the Bucs. I played XFL games in that stadium. I know that place well, Raymond James. And it's a great place to play. And, you know, you could scroll all the way up, Jack, but I'm going to finish with the Bucs here. What Baker Mayfield's doing is nothing short of just impressive, right? This guy last year started the year with Carolina. He pried his way out of Cleveland because they signed Deshaun Watson and they didn't want Baker. He goes to Carolina, where I was at, competes against Sam Darnold, wins the job, loses the job, gets hurt, you name it. We, fired Coach Rule. We traded C-Mac, and then Baker, out of nowhere, I'm just like in the hallway, we're walking to a lift or whatever. He's like, "Love you, buddy. I'm out of here." I'm like, "What?" I think that's how the story went. There was so much chaos last year. I wrote so much stuff down. I got to check my notes, but I remember it just being so spontaneous. Like, Baker's gone. What is happening? Like all my boys, like my friends on the team, like I get it from the outside world. They're like, "Yeah, see ya, buddy." But like, I don't know. This guy was like Pro Bowl type quarterback that we brought in to win, and it didn't work. And it was like really tough times in Carolina. And all he's done after going to the Rams and not knowing where he'd be this offseason, and all the goofballs on social media posting videos from OTAs of them working routes, and he sails a ball over a guy's head. Like, you think that doesn't happen normally? It's normal football. You need to practice. It's tough. And you can't just roll the ball to the park with your boys and practice football. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. That's why it's the hardest sport in the world. You need 22 people. You need film. You need coaches. You need headsets. So kudos to what Baker's done in Tampa. I was watching Colin Cowherd today. I love his work. And he had like Baker versus these blank question mark quarterback faces. And like he had better numbers than Tom Brady in 22 right now. He's got better numbers than Stafford and Josh Allen this season. He didn't give the ball away. 27 TDs, 8 interceptions. I mean, it's awesome. And I hope he signs a mega deal. Or for him, like, how's it work? Do you take like a pay cut a little bit and you stay in Tampa, or you get a mega deal from Tampa or whatever? Because you got to secure those good players around him. You got to find a way to pay Mike Evans and bring him in and those things at the good wideout position, because they have a ton of talent down there at the wideout position. They have young tight ends that are growing. It's a great place to play in Tampa. They have grass field, beautiful weather, no state income tax, great airport. All these little things that people don't think about, players that are free agents that have to make these tough decisions, it comes down to. Underrated thing is when you land in Tampa, you're right next to the facility, you're right next to the stadium, or when you're an away team in Tampa, you're like 5-minute drive to take off out of the airport. That's a big deal. Not every stadium's like that. All right, Jack, we got one of our first guests here, and I'm going to get into these NFC playoff picture with him. Rasheed Bailey, absolute stud. Showtime Speaks, his awesome podcast with us that he's kind of rebooting, relaunching with us here at Not For Long Media. CFL, NFL, Del Val. We're just so jacked to have him on. I think Rasheed's working on his camera and his mic here. When he pops up here, Jack will bring him in. But Rasheed's always, been a friend of mine, someone I admire from afar. Someone trying to make it in this league from a Division III level, to the top of this profession. A great route runner, extreme toughness, did a little bit of everything and more for, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers these last 3 seasons. Won 2 Grey Cups. They lost this past season. And, as him and I have a lot of great talks as veterans, trying to figure out kind of what's next in this world. Sheed has, kind of like me, trying to figure out ways to make things go. And he's got a podcast, and he's joining us right now as he's shutting the door and running around and getting moving and grooving. Sheed, what's going on, man? How we doing?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Let's go. I got you loud and clear. How we doing?
What's good, man?
What's up, man? What are you up to? Back
I haven't
to
did this setup in a long time, so bear with me.
Looks great, dude. You're doing great. Back from the CFL.
Yeah,
Back to Philly.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm ready. My bad.
Ready? Talk to me.
I know it's live. I'm sorry. My phone.
You're doing
keeps
great.
going
I don't
off,
care.
man.
I don't care. The phone's buzzing. You know, you're doing great. You're a media professional trying to make it work. I appreciate you jumping on the show. I want to jump right in on the Eagles though, because I don't know what it is. To me, I think they've graduated from the spread. I think they need to get under center, play action pass, allow Jalen to get the ball in people's hands quickly. A lot of indecisiveness with what are they running? What are they doing? I watch the Niners. I think they can run a million different plays from a million different formations. I have no idea what they're doing. They got people in motion. They're shifting. They got backs. They got tight ends. They got wideouts that you may not even know their name, and these guys are Pro Bowlers. When I watch the Eagles, I see very college spread. Hey, it's just this coverage. We're pumping it to this guy. It's this look. We're handing the ball off. I like it. It's successful. It has worked. They got to a Super Bowl. They've had a ton of success. Jalen got paid a ton, highest paid player in NFL history at that point of time. He deserves it. But it's not working anymore, and that's okay. Offenses change all the time. I think they got to graduate and become more like the Niners, Vikings, Dolphins, and allow Jalen to distribute instead of put it all on his shoulders. As a guy who's played wide out in professional football, CFL, you played in so many different offense. What's the answer to the Eagles offense? What's the riddle?
Whew, man, it's a lot to unpack. I really do agree with you when it comes to they need to get more under center. They need to get more. They got a lot going on, but they've had success though. It kind of reminds me of, us in Winnipeg where we've had success. We've won 2 back-to-back Grey Cups. I think you just need to do like minor tweaks and do things a little bit different. Like you said, the play action stuff works. I did see they hit Goddard last week on it was like we call it, what we call it, a pylon route or something like that, where they hit him.
It's like a Seattle.
Exactly, but it was the first play action under center that I've seen in probably a long time, but it was successful. I think that they need to get back to doing traditional things. I think it'll help them. I think everybody's screaming right now to run the ball. I think, they have a great back and Swift and what he's doing well. I really like Swift. He is the epitome of what a Philly running back is predicated as. You know what I'm saying? Like he got that dog up in him. He got that energy that I love, man. I'm always cheering from the sideline, just enjoying the process of watching him tote the rock. When you talk about running backs from Philly, man, it's a long list of guys who are from Philly that never even made it. I can go down a list of all the names of all the running backs, and he represents all those guys. And, to see him, in that limelight, to see him doing what he's doing, man, I think he needs to touch that rock a little bit more. But, he's had some injury stuff in the past and stuff like that kind of like they're trying to protect, that I understand.
Yeah.
But,
they're going to feed it to him now, though. I think it's time. It's time. But you know what?
Time.
The thing about this, G, where people in Philly are uncomfortable, right? Because they're not doing well.
Yeah.
But none of it matters. They clinch the playoff spot. I know it's not ideal, but like you got to look at it as a glass half full. Like you're in that building, you start to see players get irritated. You're starting to see guys a little frustrated. But it's like it is what it is. You got to go out and ball. It's week to week league, and you're in the playoffs. You got to go.
I think I just seen something that was very important that I saw Jason Kelsey say this. He said, I think it came up on WIP, that it's important for guys to let it all out, to voice it, to use your voice. I think that when it comes to pro sports and how people analyze the game and they break it down and say we need to do this differently, we need to do that differently, but there's a thing called communication within an organization and within the offense, within, the meeting room, within all of that stuff that could be, on a brink of like there's something going on or whatever the case may be.
Yep.
I've experienced, especially with me this past season, where I felt like the communication level it just wasn't where it needed to be. And this is how it works in a lot of professional sports. You get a player who speaks this language, you get a coach who speaks this language, you get a quarterback who speaks this language, and you got different languages that are all trying to mesh into one. And I think that you can kind of see what's kind of going on. And, like, bro, these people are human. I think that nobody is mentioning that all of these players, you see, AJ Brown, his frustration, him not wanting to talk to, the media and stuff like that. Man, what if he's going through something personally? What if he's battling an injury that it's like there's a lot of different things that could be possibly going on that, to be honest, it's nobody's business. Like, and how teams function and being in pro sports, the outside noise doesn't really matter. They just need to focus on from within and get things kind of fixed up and tweaked up and communicate better. And I think once they do that, I think things will be smooth sailing with them. Like you just said, they're in a good position. All they need to do right now is get hot going into the playoffs, and anything can happen.
No question. No question. Really well said. I think with any team, right, you talked about the communication level. It's just like any bit of work, guys. I say football locker room is just a microcosm of society. They're a better microcosm of society because we can talk about a lot of things, politics, race, religion, open-minded, and 99% of the guys are saying it there with an open and warm heart, just asking loving questions. Where in the outside world, you don't know where people are coming from. You can't have those conversations with even some of your friends or family because there's so much. But I love the locker room for that reason. I miss it for that reason. But it was funny. I was in Minnesota, and Angelico, our tight end coach there, was just saying, like, guys, hold me accountable to speaking in the language of our offensive terminology, because he's been so many places.
Yes.
Right. And you're like, hey, it's this route. I'm like, no, it's a diagonal. It's not a cross or whatever. So, and that's the minute versions of it.
Yes.
But it's like that on any scale, even in a professional level. And even for you, like, have you had the same coordinators in Winnipeg the whole time?
So we switched. The guy who we had, the guy who was like the head of all of it, wound up leaving and taking a head coach job somewhere. So the QB coach stepped up and took the offensive coordinator job. But the language started to change, the verbiage and what we wanted. He kept it the same. He kept it the same, but we added so much more. And the verbiage of what the QB liked, we brung more of that in, or hots, or different sites, or different things that we wanted. But we all kind of like got to a point where we started to speak the same language in a way. But it can get it's a iffy thing if, all right, the QB wants something, but the receiver coach don't know about it. So, like, let's say we're sitting in the office and we're going over the plays, or we're going over what we just did, during the week. Well, the QB wanted it this way, but the receiver coach didn't know. So that's what I mean by, like, sometimes the level of communication and the verbiage kind of can get it can get misunderstood. So, like, when we talking ball, like, man, it could be a number of different things, man. At the end of the day, they're a team that's still trying to figure out. They know who they are, but they're still trying to figure it out. And I think that's life. Football is life. Football is, it's not supposed to be perfect. You look at all these teams around the league, you can only look at maybe a couple of teams that are looking like they flawless, but it's coming down to the stretch. Dallas just lost. 49ers just lost. Like, Eagles, to be honest, in my opinion, lost at the right time.
They did. The right people.
The right people.
Because they're right in it.
They're still in it.
They're right in it.
And people need to slow down and calm down.
I'll say this, though. You know what, man? And we're going to get to Carolina here in a little bit because I know you played there. I was in Carolina the 2021 year. I think we started that year hot. We were 3-0. I think Sam Darnold led the NFL in rushing touchdowns. We had guys balling out. Year before, we had like 5 guys with 1,000 yards all-purpose yards. C-Mac was healthy.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold was really slinging it. It was exciting times. We ended up going on a big skid, I think, to lose that year. I think 6 or 7 straight. And the Panther fans didn't boo us till, like, I don't know, 6 games in. We had guys that are like 6 games into the losing streak. And I love Panthers fans. We have some listening right now. But, like, there's only so many of them. Like, in Philly, in these big markets, like, you're getting booed after one bad series. We got booed at Temple for a 3-and-out against Tulane. I'll never forget it. And Coach Rule brought us up.
Yeah.
And he's like, listen to these people.
Yeah.
These same people were cheering you on against Notre Dame and Penn State. They had no problem with it. But you had a little 3-and-out against Tulane, like everybody. And here you are, sputtering. But that's the nature of the beast. I love my time in Carolina. Great people, great city. I love how the stadium was downtown, uptown. You played with some amazing players there. One guy I know had a huge impact on you, and many was Cam Newton. Cam has been all over the media this week, different opinions, different things going on, which I love.
I love it,
and
too.
It's funny how people question Cam.
Yeah.
He's so polarizing. But it's like, wait, we got a Hall of Famer, maybe the best football player of all time. I don't know if he's going to be a Hall of Famer or not, but probably one of the best pound-for-pound football players ever, given their opinion. People question it and get personal, and I think opinions, some things you agree with, some things you don't. But just talk about Cam, what was it like? Bring the outside world into that man, because when I was with him, other than Eli Manning, I've never been around a quarterback like that intellectually. And he's also bigger than life. I thought he was a shot fighter with us in Carolina. He didn't have his fastball anymore, but everything else he had.
Yeah, he did. I don't know, man. When it came to Cam, man, he had such an impact on my life during that time that I spent down there during that time. And I think one of the biggest lessons I learned from him was to always be myself. You know what I'm saying? And he still does that, man. If I could, he's done such a great job with always being like he does his thing, one pinky, one finger, one look. Like, he's been like this. He's always had this personality, and it's infectious. And when I was down there, it kind of gave me that confidence to be me. You know what I'm saying? Like, he would be dancing during practice, turned up, juiced up, and I'll be sitting there like, okay. All right. And that energy kind of just fed off of who he was, and it kind of just brushed off, and it made me want to come out of my shell, because I have a big personality too. But when you're on these pro teams, you kind of want to tone it down a little bit, but there was no tone down. Listen, when he came out to practice, it was time to go. It was like he didn't warm up. His warm up was talking. His warm up was getting everybody turned up, and he would get me turned up. I remember, man, I'll never forget, man, the day I earned his respect. We had this big run. He does the QB receiver type thing, and he did it in Baltimore that year. And it was this hill in Baltimore, and they call it the Hell Hill or whatever like that, whatever it's called. But it was the craziest thing I've ever done. You know what I'm saying? And we did a little workout, but we were doing a workout up this steep ass hill, right? And I don't know what it was, but that day I was turned up. And I got a drive, I got a passion, and I'm full of energy, and I beat everybody up this hill. I'm talking about, it was a long, steep hill, and I got to the top, and I'm wheezing, and I'm talking, and he turned up. Man, I'll never forget that moment, that time, man. It definitely brought the best out of me. He's got that, he always just has this energy about him that just makes everybody better, man. And during my time there, when I was there, it just always see, I remember he bought Uggs for the whole team. Even during that time when we were in Baltimore, I was one of the last people to leave. Because I was only driving back to Philly.
Yeah.
So we go into he was like, yeah, come take this ride with me. So we took a ride, and we went to the Under Armour store. This is the first time I've ever heard anybody say this to me. So we get in the store, and he was like, yeah, just get whatever you want. And I'm looking back at him like, what you mean? Get whatever. I'm like, bet. So I go in there, and I'm grabbing a few things. And then he was like, that's how you be. That's it. So I start grabbing more stuff. It was crazy, man. That was my Cam Newton moment, man. And we spent a little bit of time together, man. I remember when I had got released, he called me. I was at home, and he kind of encouraged me, man. We had a nice little friendship that we had during that time. And during that time that God has a lot that moment, it was beautiful, man. And I was able to really take something from it. And when everybody has this agenda or this thing that what Cam is or what he was, or man, he was like a little superhero to me, man. He was a black quarterback that, did anything he wanted out there in that football field, and his personality just made it even 10 times better. And it gave a kid like me, hope. And listen, I had hope because of him. You know what I'm saying? He was like our modern day Michael Vick, you know what I'm saying? But a bigger version. and what he did on the
Huge.
football field. It's funny to see how people kind of like try to like downplay who he was by what's been going on today, because you tend to forget what somebody's done when they're no longer in the game. But his impact is very, very much stamped around the league, and the impact that he's had on different players.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking in my head right now, like top 5 players, top 5 quarterbacks in the league in his prime, right? He's number 1 and 2. And I think the hardest part for Cam was they ran him. I mean, they're running QB power and he's jumping over people, and they didn't protect quarterbacks like they did now.
Yeah.
If Cam starts his career like he does now, right, he probably lasts longer. That's why these guys, I hate to be a young quarterback coming up. There's not that many backup quarterback spots available now. These guys are taking them. These vets are taking them, holding on to them.
They are.
They're giving them to them.
They are.
Look at Joe Flacco, man, what he's doing in Cleveland. Crazy.
Like, you look at it and you see, like, man, like it's crazy. Look at all the backup positions, man. You got Matt. I think it's a long list of veteran guys that has that position.
They're taking care of guys now too, man. I went to training camp. I told you in Minnesota. It was all about your recovery. It was all about your health. It was all about how you're going to perform on game day, which is great. And a lot of places don't operate that way. But the reason why Minnesota, in my opinion, has had success. Like I left there and I was like, man, I feel like I've just got, the shit beat out of me from training camp.
Yeah.
But in the periods of time during the week, and I was getting ready for the games, and it was just first class. And a lot of places are, but
yeah,
I mean, it's a grind. What's the grind like in the CFL during training camp? Is it tough? I feel like it's like a bunch of old school guys up there, man.
No, it's not. I mean, it's a bunch of young guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a track meet, to be honest. I'm a receiver, bro. There is ain't no chilling. You know what I mean? And like you, I think
there's never chilling for the wide out.
Oh hell no, man! You saw that video with Ocho when he talk about there ain't no scrub league now. Ain't no bums up there. It's some real life.
Especially in that position.
Especially
in that position.
Yes, especially at the receiver position, man. You got, I said it on my podcast, in my last episode, man. This is the pros, man. You gotta understand, man. There's some kid that's trying to come take your spot and shoot. At the end of the day, I came and took somebody's spot. And that's how it functions. That's how pro sports works. But up there in the CFL, I mean, like it's a real life track meet, and you need to be able to run. I think that the waggle helps give an advantage and stuff like that to a certain extent. But I played in 22 games this year. You know what I'm saying? I played in that's including playoffs, including preseason. It's a dogfight. I played in every last game. And, for me, like I work my ass off to be in that position, though. I think that when I'm training and how I do certain things, I think I put things in phases. I go phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. And that's how I do my training. I've added so many different things to my bag that, I'm ready for training by the time I get up there. The NFL is a lot different, though, man. They have a lot more access to different things, and, the facilities are a lot better. There in Winnipeg, they definitely have a lot of, we got a lot more than other teams do. And I'm going to be a free agent this year, so we're going to see how things how they play out this year.
Yeah, we'll get that in a second. I think the one thing that the mature guys can handle the minor leagues, because I love the XFL. I consider myself a mature football player. Like, you got 2 square meals. We have a hotel room we don't pay for that they pay. We travel private.
No, yeah.
I mean, all right, what? You can't take protein bars away from the facility. You got to spend a little money. You're not really making any money enough to save it anyways. I mean, a little bit. And at that point of that league early on, no, right? So what's your plan next year? Got people weighing in on Twitter. Joe's weighing in on Twitter. Appreciate you listening, Joe. He said, is Rashid still in Winnipeg? The answer is no. Contract expired.
Yeah, well, soon. I mean, I don't know. To be honest, I went through a lot this past year. And to be honest, I really haven't been focused on it. My biggest focus has been on my podcast. My biggest focus has been on Showtime Speaks and getting myself out there to go speak and do different things and help impact the world and impact these kids. And I've been making that transition of spending more time doing that because last year I felt myself in a place where like I thought I knew what was going to happen. I thought I had a feeling of, or I'm going to be here, I'm going to get this amount or this, that. And then things didn't work out that way. And I think that, I'm going into, this whole thing with, with my head held high and knowing I don't regret anything. And, but my focus has shifted towards, in this period of time right now, towards, things, life after football and stuff like that. But there's so much football for me to be played, and I'm excited about it. I am excited in these next few months on what's going to happen. The phone is already starting to kind of start to, you start to get a little poke, and I'm training again now, and people keep asking me, and my answer is, hold on, listen, that's not my focus. I'm trying to get this business going first. And I think that's important for me right now, to really focus on that. As you can see, like the podcast is, I'm taking it to another level. And, like I did an episode today, and, I kind of really spoke on the new year and things that I'm looking forward to with the podcast, and kind of reiterating why I'm doing my podcast. I think that was important for me to kind of, get that message across to people as well too. So I'm excited about free agency once I start shifting my mind towards it. But as of right now, it's about Showtime Speaks, Not For Long. You feel me? And all the stuff that, Matt Productions, shout out to him, and, my new co-host, Kenny Reds. There's a lot of stuff going on, man, and I'm excited about.
Yeah, man. I'm so happy for you. We know each other for a while now, and then to get you in the pod game and get you involved with it and have your passion involved with some of the stuff we're doing and Not For Long, we're Jack, man. I appreciate you coming on. Now, before you go, I'll probably have you on. I'm going to have you on for the Super Bowl, but who do you think's going to win this MVP race here? Lamar, C-Mac, Tyreek, Purdy?
Oh man, this is interesting, man. You look at it, you analyze it. It's been changing every week. I think that it's going to come down to the end. I think that the most interesting thing is watch how it happens in the end. I think we're not going to be surprised as to who win it. Right now it looks like Lamar is in the league for it. He is Baltimore Ravens. He is Baltimore. It's a lot. It was Purdy. It was. We had the argument that Dak was the guy, and we had the argument that at one point Jalen was, and then things happened, and then Tyreek Hill was, and then it's a lot of. I think this is the best time for football right now. Because there is no clear cut. You know what I'm saying? It's nothing that's
It's a good year.
It's a great year for football.
Before you came on, we were talking about all these teams still in the hunt.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
This is how it's supposed to be.
NFL's gotta be loving it.
This is what makes football exciting, and I think that it's going to come down to the end. I'm going to the game on Sunday, the Eagles game.
Okay.
I'm excited about. But yeah,
Jonathan Gannon coming back to town.
No, we're gonna see how things play out. But like I said about that Eagles team, man, once they get hot, they can do something. I think any team, not even just the Eagles, I think any team right now, we lost the Grey Cup to Montreal. And Montreal, had more losses than we did, and kudos to them, shout out to them. But they got hot at the right time, and they beat two of the teams that were in it last year. And I've been trying to sit down and forgive everything that didn't happen. We lost, and that's 2 years in a row. It is what it is. But no, yeah, you look at the MVP race, I think it's up in the air.
Up in the air, he says. Showtime Speaks. Check his show out. Rasheed Bailey, appreciate you coming on the show, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You're the best. I don't think we would have thought we had some Montreal talk here if we weren't talking about hockey, but we got a little CFL, we got a little Grey Cup here. Jason Martinez is going to join us here from Flyers Daily here in a sec when he pops up on the screen. Host with us here at Not For Long Media, Odd G's with